Hey everybody, this is Nathaniel from Exquisite Gardens, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at a plant that you're going to start from seed somewhere between 3 and 4 months before your typical last frost. And since I'm here in central Minnesota, USDA Zone 4, and my last frost is usually during the first week of May, I need to start this seed sometime before the first week of February. What seed am I starting today? The tuberous apple blossom begonia seed. This begonia has been hybridized to form a tuber among its roots, much like a potato. And in the fall, this tuber can be lifted from the ground, dried, and stored until planting the next spring. Begonias started from tubers don't need to be started nearly as early as those started from seeds because there's so much more energy stored up inside those tubers. But begonia seeds, as you can see here, are super tiny. And the ones you see in this bottle, they look large. That's because they've been pelletized, which means they've had a coating added to them to make them easier to handle. You wouldn't believe it, but there's actually 100 seeds in here. Tuberous begonias are also suitable for partial or even full shade, which, as you'll see in future videos, is a perfect descriptor of my garden. Finding full shade flowers as impressive as the begonia is quite a difficult task. And so, if you have any recommendations for my shaded garden, please let me know in the comments below. To start the begonia seeds, you're going to need a container, some seed starting mix, a clear cover for your container, and your seeds. Begin by working the water into the seed starting mix. You want the soil to be damp, but you don't want it to be sodden. The soil is naturally hydrophobic when it's dried out, meaning it doesn't really want to absorb the water. And so you need to actually manually massage the water into the soil. The seedlings will only be in this container until they have their first true leaves, and then they're going to be transplanted into individual pots. So what this means is you don't really need any fancy container to start your seeds in it. In fact, this tray is a germination tray from farmeru.com, and normally I use it to grow my microgreens. But in this case, we're really only going to be growing these seeds in here for as long as you would normally grow microgreens in a tray like this. And so this is where I'm going to start my seeds. Maybe 2 weeks after they germinate, I'll be able to prick them out and move them into pots where they'll finish growing until they're ready to be transplanted out into the garden. I've also found the size of this tray very convenient for starting a small quantity of seeds. I'm only starting 100 begonia seeds, and rather than putting them all in a 10-20 tray where they would just get lost, this tray will end up being the perfect size. So next, you're going to smooth the soil lightly with your hands or a block, and then spread the seeds evenly across the surface. They are so small that I believe I could probably lose them if I'm not careful. But I want to try my best to spread them out, so that way when I do prick them out, their roots are not entangled with one another. Funnily enough, inside this capsule, it did not look like there were 100 seeds in there. Now, as I'm spreading them out across the tray, I'm trying to keep them separated, I feel like I don't have enough room. Of course, there's actually plenty of room, but it just, it feels like that. All right. Once you got the seeds on the surface of the soil, you don't need to bury them. Just go ahead and lightly push them into the soil, but not so hard that they disappear into the soil. You're just Making sure they've got good contact, because you want the seeds to also absorb that moisture that's in the soil, and that will help them germinate. Next, give the surface of the soil a misting from a spray bottle. And lastly, cover the tray with a germination cover. The germination cover does not need to be anything fancy. Clear plastic bag will do. The begonia seeds do not germinate in darkness. They need light to germinate. So clear plastic bag or any clear germination dome that you have, that will do the trick. The seeds should be kept between 65 and 75 degrees Fahrenheit. You should see them germinate sometime between 15 and 60 days. I will update you on these begonias as I repot, transplant, care for, and harvest the tubers in the fall. And of course, all this is going to be happening in the context of a brand new garden that we're going to be building in my backyard. So, if all that sounds interesting to you, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss any updates from Exquisite Gardens. And with that, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video from Exquisite Gardens.